right, so welcome again to my channel. I'm so glad you're here. Today I felt we should just look at your career and marriage. Many have asked, how do we navigate this thing? Marriage is one kettle of fish and career is something else. Can they actually come together? And I'd like to look at it from the perspective of in time of peace again, preparing for that war. I mean, right from the time we are in school, there's an idea that you would progress even with your career. You would go out and you do great exploits, as the Bible would tell us. And then even in some cases, we would want our children, our parents want us to be shining examples, shining stars amongst our peers. So there is a lot of expectation, and I guess that is fair because education is not cheap. Even though we may say education is not as expensive as ignorance, so there is that expectation that there is continuous progression. And one of the milestones would be to get married and to start a family. And in many cases, like in my case, it may slow down your progression in your career. And I'm careful to use that word, slow it down. It's not to put a stop to it or to put a cap to it. It may even change your direction in terms of your career, but it must not. I stress the fact that it must not stop your career progression. Your career progression is so important to humanity. I mean, God has put so much in each one of us that there is so much we have to do. And if we don't do it, there will be a gap in humanity. There will be a gap in our generation. There will be a gap in the lives of people around you and even those that you can reach. So it's so important that we take care to progress with our career. And so how do you prepare for this? I think for every young woman, you must have your priorities right. Yes, you're beautiful, you're young, and all the guys are like, hey, beautiful girl, talk to me. You still have to know what you're all about, Have your head screwed on right. When it's time to study, study. When it's time to play, play. And when it's time to go to work, go to work. Don't start doing things at the wrong time, like falling pregnant when it's not necessarily the time to fall pregnant. It happens. Many have gone through that and have survived it, and good for them, good for us. We're able to bounce back, but it just creates, so much complications. So if it's not time to fall in love and be getting involved with young men, please don't go there. Just leave it for the time that is there. And I dare say, when you are now married, don't start telling your husband, hey, I'm not available, I have a headache, my back is paining me, I want to read, I'm doing my PhD. No, that is the time. Is his time, is your time together. And so you cannot now deprive your spouse due to your career progression or your career choice. I'm so tired. Oh, don't even talk to me. No, 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 no. You not only be offending your spouse, I dare say you'd even be offending God, because there's a contractual agreement that you are there for each other. When it's time to read your books and to do the work, please endeavor to do it. Endeavor to progress as far as possible. Finish your high school, definitely. Get your matric, definitely. You want to at least have that in hand. And then go to higher institution and get your first degree. At least get your first degree. Get your first degree. And if you are lucky enough and you can progress and do your master's or do your professional exams, please go ahead and do it. Do it. Don't be in a hurry to start making money or start making a family when you have the time to make the progression. However, if the time for you is now to get married, you have your degree, your first degree, and you have a good man looking for you, don't say, no, my career, my career. And then you go and chase your career, the guy goes off, and then 20 years down the line, you are wondering, what is this career? There is time for everything, and you have to have an understanding in terms of your intentions with your career, with your marriage. They're two important things. And I think for a woman, they're extremely important that you get it right. You get the work-life balance right, and when it's time to study again, please do your studying. In Ecclesiastes, we're told that there is time for everything. There's a time to live, there's a time to die. There's a time to work, there's a time to play. There's a time to laugh, there's a time to cry. So when is a time to laugh? Don't start crying because the time for crying will come, right? If you are at a time when you're supposed to be laughing, but you are there lamenting, hey, all my mates are married, or all my mates are reading. No, 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 no. Just take your own season at your own time, understanding that there is a progression for you and that you are following your own progression. And then once you are in a marriage relationship, if you have agreed with your spouse, now is the time to study, study. I remember myself and my husband, early days, children were still very little, and we were both studying. We were migrants. We were both studying, trying to get our professional exams going. I think I was doing a master's, a second master's at the time. And so we'd wake up early, like 4:30, and we would sit at the dining table. I'm telling you, before 5 o'clock, we could have quarreled. Why? Because he will ask me a question and I will say, no, I've not done this. And like, but you haven't done it. And then the studying time will just trickle away. 6 o'clock, we go off, carry on with life, but not being at peace because we did not achieve what we set out to do during the dedicated study time. So what did we do? We now decided between 4:30 and 6 a.m., please don't talk to me. We're not quarreling, but don't just talk to me. This time is for us to study and make progress with our studies. If there is a question you remember because you are looking at me, just write it down and focus on your study. Then at 6 o'clock, when the study time is up, you say, yes, did you remember to pay the children's school fee yesterday? Say, I forgot. No quarrel, it's fine. Please don't forget today. You tick it off. So in that way, you're able to manage even your communication. You're able to manage your time, and you're able to move forward. Remember, a man and a woman coming, and I say especially a man and a woman coming together to build a family is not so that the family will be broken up. The intention is so that they will both win. It's not so that the man will win and the woman will lose, or the woman will win and the man will lose, or the parents will win, the children will lose, or the children will win and the parents will. No, it's for the collective to progress together. One may be slower now for the good of the family, right? And then another one may be moving fast now for the good of the family. But if the two are moving fast for their own individual benefit, then something is not right. The collective, as a family unit, we are happy when we all succeed. You cannot say, I'm chasing my career and the children are suffering. No, we can't do that. You are foolish even to do that. Because those children will come back and they will be your agadagodo. What's that? Your the padlock, the shackles on your legs, because you have not sorted it out at the right time. But if you sort it out at the right time, slowly you will be removing any ideas of those shackles coming around your legs. Not when the children are grown, you are supposed to be doing things. Then the shackles, that those shackles, police station, or the child is having one problem or another. You don't need that. You really, really don't need that if you are to carry on and progress with your career. So when the time is between the ages of 0 and 3 years old is so critical for a child, so critical that if you are able to pump into them values, prayer time, feeding time, love. They must know that you love them. By the time they're going off to school, they'll even be telling you, bye, mom, I love you, because you have put that. Bye, dad, because you have given them that time at the right time. Not when they have found love somewhere else. You now start saying, I love you. They're like, oh, really? Really? Now you love me? You don't need that if you are to progress with your career. And I dare say, in all that, that marriage now becomes a bed of roses. Because if you have tended and nurtured that bed carefully at the right time, the roses will blossom. And then you go in there in the process of developing or growing those roses. From time to time, need to go in and prune. You need to cut off some branches. You need to cut off some old flowers, let them go. You go in there carefully and you prune those roses. You also need to be careful when you're coming out of the rose garden, because those thorns are there. And if you are not careful, those thorns, which are part of the bed of roses, by the way, they will injure you. So how you tend to and nurture marriage and your career is delicate, is full of care, is full of love, and it's full of wisdom. If you are pruning the roses and the thorns are hitting you, you cannot turn around and fight the thorn. It will tear your skin, right? But you now know, okay, I have a thorn in my flesh. How do I get it out? Carefully, you move in the right direction. If you move in the wrong direction, it will tear the skin the more. So indeed, if you say life or marriage is not a bed of roses, I strongly believe it. Marriage is indeed a bed of roses, because it comes with the beautiful flowers and even the manure that you need to throw in it. I mean, that's another talk I could do. The poo that needs to go into the bed of roses is, how do you massage it into the bed? How do you massage it into your life situation so that it beautifies you? And then once that is done, you now see the roses, because of the highly intense manure that has come in. The roses would now shine and blossom, in a way that everybody would think that, wow, such a beautiful life, not knowing that the thorns and the prickles were also there. So I think in all this, how you navigate or how you keep your marriage and keep your career, there is time for everything. There's a time to sleep, there's a time to wake, to be awake. There's a time to run, and there's a time to sit still. And if one can really appreciate and enjoy the season of sitting and waiting, when it's time to run, you run. You don't start saying, hey, I'm tired because I was struggling when I was supposed to be resting. And again, let's be grateful for every opportunity. Every opportunity. Find something you can be thankful for. Many years ago, I had a garden of spinach. Those were some difficult times in practice. And I will get home, I'll just go to my garden, the spinach leaves, they'll just be dancing and saying, hey, welcome back home. And that really, really made me happy. And I'll put water in them and the sun will shine on the leaves. And it was just so beautiful. So even in the chaos of life, in the chaos of marriage, in the chaos of children and your career, there must be something. There must be something, a ray of light. Our God is faithful. He will give you that ray of light, that ray of hope. And if you can't find it in your own life, find it in your friend's life. And just say, God, you did this for this person. I know you can do it for me. And if you can't find any friend in the whole world, find it in the Bible that, God, you did it for this. The Bible tells us we should remember. It says, think about what you did when we were in Egypt, and you brought us out of the land of Egypt. God is able to do it even now. But we need to remember that He did it before. And indeed, believe it or not, He will surely do it again. So that's my chat for this afternoon. I hope you enjoy it wherever you are in the world. Be blessed and keep your marriage, keep your career, keep it going. And remember, there's time for everything. And marriage is indeed a bed of roses. God bless. Remember to subscribe and share. Thanks. Bye.